So, I wanted to show everybody about this device which came out a few years ago to compete with the Microsoft Surface Pro. The Microsoft Surface, the 2-in-1, the Microsoft Surface Pro, called the Eve, which was a Kickstarter program for crowdfunding, and much cheaper, and the features were based on feedback given by the people who donated and wrote comments and writing to them during the development of the product. So this is a small group of people who have developed this product instead of some big multinational company like Microsoft or Apple. And really a very fine product indeed. And for those who wanted a cheaper alternative that was at least as good and better than the Microsoft Surface Pro, this was, and perhaps still is in my opinion not, but perhaps still is one of the best alternative solutions. Should be. But things have changed in my opinion. Because the Eve, the problem is with small Kickstarter programs, this product, I'm now on a secret offer. You can see I'm on their mailing list, and you get secret offers, which isn't that secret because they send it to 100,000 people. It's basically just a marketing. The real price is $859. Where's my mouse? $859, yeah, and $729. But it was 1,600 and 1,200 at the beginning, perhaps. But actually now the price is $729 and $895, and they sell it using the trick of secret offer. Just like the closing down sale on the brick and mortar shops, meaning shops on the street. You walk past a shop that has a big sign on it saying, going out of business, selling out, selling all stock out, super sale. And 2 years later, you walk down the same street and you see the same shop with the same sign saying, closing down sale, super cheap. And you think, oh, that's their marketing technique. They're not closing down. It's just their way of making you think they're closing down and that they're selling it cheap. This is all unethical marketing that's been done by humans with shit in their hearts for tens of thousands of years. Ever since swapping things or money was invented, and before money, swap shop trade. I like swap shop because if both parties are happy with the item they swapped, it doesn't matter whatever monetary value it should have. But anyway, the point is, I just received a secret offer, and they send me one every 2 or 3 days, which shows just how desperate they are to sell these things. It's a great 2-in-1 tablet, computer, Windows PC. But I just wrote back to them because this computer, or 2-in-1, or tablet PC, was made about 3 or 4 years ago already now. I'm not sure, I might be wrong. It was made quite some time ago. And since then, the Microsoft Surface Pro have updated their processors, Kaby Lake and Whiskey Lake, and so on. And there are new devices on the market now which totally surpass the abilities of this device. And so it was a great Kickstarter project, yeah. You can see the product, you can take it out just like this of the keyboard, and the keyboard is a folio cover and it's got a pen, which probably only works with this computer and won't work with your iPhone or your Android tablet. Luckily I have $3 pens which work with all touchscreen devices, and it's not worth buying these pens anyway. But to stay on topic, the Eve i7 and the E5 i5 is really not up to date with the current state of technology of devices which are being released now. So I would say to Eve that it's time for you to develop your next generation product, because you might call it the Eve5, saying it's 5th generation, but it isn't. It's the Eve1 with a couple of new internals. And technology is advancing so fast that small companies are not able to finance themselves to keep bringing out and announcing every year a completely revolutionized version of their product. So I'm afraid the Eve has fallen behind. It's still a great product, but what I don't like here is how they use this kind of thing to compare. These kind of comparisons are absolutely ridiculous. The things you can do with $1,254. Well, first of all, the E5 is $895 versus the Surface Pro, which is $2,149. Yeah, but the Surface Pro 7, what they're showing is Intel Core i7, 16GB RAM, 512GB SSD, solid state drive, keyboard and pen. Yeah. What they're not showing is the internals and the updates of the Surface Pro, both hardware and software wise, and other things like the I/O means like how many, if it's got USB-C, if it's got Thunderbolt, and USB 3.1 or 3.2 or 2.0, which has different speed data transfer speeds and so on. So they're just mentioning the things they want to compare, but there are other statistics and specifications of these two devices compared, which actually the E5 will never be able to compete with the Surface Pro 7's power and ability, although it does compete with the price, and there's a hell of a difference with the price. So if you're not a content creator and making videos and this, that and the other, the E5 is a fine device. But it's outdated already, and they need to make a new device that is up to date with the times, yeah? So here's a bit I don't like. Things you can do with $1,254. Well, the E5 isn't $1,254, and the Surface Pro 7 is also not $1,254. It's $2,149. So where did you get the $1,254 from? Quite a bit, actually. We've come up with a couple of ideas, but the question is, what will you do with the money? 6.9 years of Netflix, an Xbox One and 6 games, 85 orders of takeout food, 8 years of Spotify, or 2 external displays, or nearly 2,000 cans of soda pop? Well, I'll answer you at Eve Computers, and with greatest respect for the product you developed and the bravery and the Kickstarter and absolutely fine and price-worthy alternative, and proving that Microsoft overcharged for their products. Hats off to your company, really, and hats off to small company, small group of people have proved that you don't need $1 billion company with tens of thousands of employees to develop a top-notch product. And it is a top-notch product, which I respect, and it's a fine computer. But to answer the question, what will I do with $1,254 is I would take about $900 of it and buy the computer I'm using to record the screen on to make this screencast or this video with, which is namely a Lenovo Yoga 520. So it's a last year's generation. Now they have the 530, This is now the year 2019 or 2020. It's 2019 now. I never know what year it is because I'm a hermit. And I don't look at the calendar, and I have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity, whatever doctors call it. Actually, it's just I was born like that, and I don't fit in with society's norms, and so they say anybody who doesn't fit in with society norms has some kind of illness they invent a name for. I'm just me, actually. So ADHD, I don't take ADHD medicine. I tried it. I realized I was just as, quote, mad, crazy, unquote, with the medicine as I am without it. So I don't believe in the pharmaceutical industry. I threw all that shit away. It's not good for my body. So what would I do with $1,254? I would buy a Lenovo Yoga 520 for I would buy a Lenovo Yoga 520 for about $900 from last year's edition with a Core i5. Which has a Type-C 3.0 7th generation USB port. It has a HDMI. It has two USB 3. Very, very narrow border screen. So very nice touch screen. Very responsive touch screen. And then I would spend another $100, so I'd be then up to $1,000 for... No, I wouldn't, but you could spend another $100 on the Lenovo pen. I wouldn't buy the Lenovo pen because, as I said, I have these $3 pens which work with every touchscreen. And Lenovo Yoga, you can't pull it off the keyboard like the Eve, but you can flip it in 360-degree hinge and turn it into a tablet, and it's 14 inches, so it's bigger. You don't need a magnifying glass to read like you do with the Surface Pro and the Eve. And I'd still have $354 left. And I would have a touchscreen device with a backlit keyboard with a 360-degree hinge with tent mode or flipped keyboard mode or laptop mode, and USB-C and HDMI, and I'd have $300 left over in my pocket. And that's what I'm using in the moment to make this, and it's a fantastic computer. I can use Photoshop 6 on it. It loads really fast. I use the portable version from Portable Apps with a Z. Portable Apps, all one word, Portable Apps, not S for apps, Z. APPZ, portableapps.com. You can download a portable version of Photoshop. Put it on a USB, stick it in the USB of your computer, and it starts up so fast. I can record and edit video, yeah, and so on. So I wouldn't buy 1,860 cans of soda. I'd buy a computer which has much more functionality than the E5, and I prefer to the Surface Pro, and have $300 left over. That's what I would do with the money, Eve. But what I would say is that excuse me, somebody always calls during a screencast. Shut up, please. And I would say that I would do that. That's a pretty unprofessional screencast now. I should have switched my phone off. Remind me. Right. Sorry about that. And have $300 left over, basically. So my final thing I was trying to say before that phone call confused me was that the Eve device itself is outdated. It's a great computer, but It's 3 or 4 years, or 3 years, or 4 years, or 5 years old now. I don't know. 2, 3, 4, 5 years old. Apple and Microsoft and Asus and Lenovo and all of your favorite brands, Microsoft and whoever, Apple, they bring out new devices every year and bring them up to the state of the art and the changing times. And Eve is falling behind. So I think, Eve, you need now the Eve 2. This is Eve 5. I really believe this is just the Eve, and there is only the Eve, that they invented it first, and they're just putting a few new internals in. But the design and the I/O, so what you can plug in and so on, hasn't really changed much at all, apart from a few little upgrades. And so where is your new product line for this year and last year and the year before? Because this is the product line from a few years ago, whereas all other manufacturers are issuing new product lines every year. So that's the disadvantage with small-time Kickstarter projects, and also getting support or repairs. With Lenovo, I've had two issues. One, the touchscreen stopped working, and another issue with it went into permanent sleep mode and I couldn't wake it. I'm in Thailand. They sent a technician, an engineer, to my house for free within the 2-year guarantee time, and fixed it for me and replaced any necessary parts. If you buy an Eve, that's not going to happen, is it? They're not going to have any on-site repairs, meaning they come to your house and repair it. So if it breaks, there is no Eve shop or like Apple shop or distributor, and you can't go and get it fixed. You can't just walk into the Eve shop in your town or call a guy and get somebody to help you fix the device. So stay away from such products, in my opinion, although hats off to them, great device. But unfortunately, the mega corporations have the edge because of this on-site service. So what Eve needs to do is to set up a connection internationally with engineers around the world who are willing to fix and put replacement parts in under the guarantee for customers who buy this piece of hardware, this device. If not, when you have a problem with the device, the support is going to be non-existent. And also the device is out of date now. So come on, Eve, start using some of your profits you've made over the past few years. You're now into profit. You're well into the green since some time now. Why aren't you developing the Eve 2? They say Eve 5. I don't believe you. It's the Eve, and next year you'll call it the Eve 6. It isn't. It's the Eve. Yeah, why don't we have the Adam? Make the Adam. And then you've got Adam and Eve. Good name for your next device, the Adam. Yeah? Eve Adam. Eve Adam. Yeah? Or the Eve Apple. Eve's Apple. Or whatever you want to call it, yeah? The Eve 2020, yeah? The Eve Future. Call it what you want. But anyway, that was me, Ajahn Spencer, aka the Webmaster, for my YouTube channel, The Webmaster, with a device review, fantastic device. I would recommend it to those whose uses it fits. And I support the idea, the community, the product, and the developers of the product. Great work, guys. But you have to think around the on-site service, set up an international network for on-site support and service at home for the customers. And that's a bit expensive for you. Yeah, Lenovo can afford that. They're international. And have an Eve shop in every country that you sell to, where people can actually walk in and buy Eves. start distributing it through retailers, because you're just online and you're having to overmarket, and you haven't redesigned your hardware device, the actual device, for years now. So get a move on, guys, because you're falling behind in the cross-country run that goes on forever, because time keeps rolling and things keep advancing. So there you go. Beautiful device, the Eve. Highly recommended for those whose uses it fits with, but also my opinion that it is not being updated. It has the on-site service problem for fixing if any hardware failure, and that with $900 I'd rather have a last year's Lenovo Yoga 520, to be honest. And actually now we'll probably be able to, I've got a Core i5, probably be able to get it with a Core i7 at that price now too. I have a Core i5 with 16 gigabyte RAM, and I admit it only has 128 gigabyte SSD internal, but it has a second SSD put inside it with a terabyte inside it. So I actually have 1.128 terabytes of storage, and it's a tablet. I can flip it, I can put in table mode, tablet mode, tent mode, laptop mode. So that's what I would do with my $1,254, and I'd have $300 left over. Okay, there I go. John Spencer for the Webmaster Channel, signing off.